All right, I want to welcome all of you to the Hononegah Algebra 1, Section 9-2. This is also right after our little spring break situation, so this is scheduled for the Monday after spring break. 9-2 is something that we've already done before, so this is actually kind of nice to jump back in here. We're going to talk about zeros being the same as x-intercepts, which also being the same as solutions. So in order for us to solve this, we need to put it in what's standard form. So basically 0 equaling the equation, and then we're going to turn it into a y equals so that we can actually graph it. So today is going to be a lot about graphing quadratics or graphing parabolas, which we've already done. So again, this should be a good day to come back on here. So now, solving a quadratic equation by graphing. First, you need to put the quadratic equation in standard form. So it needs to be equaling 0, just like you would when you had to try to solve it previously. So solving equations by graphing, or solving equations by factoring, or solving equations in a variety of manners, you need it to equal 0 first. So now write the equation in standard form. So I need this to equal 0, so I'm going to add 5x to both, or add 5 to both sides, and this is what it would look like in standard form. So the next one, I'm going to subtract the 7, and I'm going to add x. And again, we want to put this in standard form. So 2x squared plus x minus 1. So standard form is in descending order. I know this is in the way just a little bit. I'll get rid of it. So 0 equals 2x squared plus x minus 7. So again, standard form. And the 0 can be on either side. So again, as I make it equal 0, so I could have done this entire question and moved it the other way. But again, 0 equals 2x squared plus x minus 7. So the next one, I want to put this in standard form. Then I want to make it y equals, and then this is where usually last chapter, a lot of you used a graphing calculator to help you get an XY chart. Then we're going to find the x-intercepts, and the x-intercepts are going to turn into the solution. So again, how do we solve by graphing? We first need to put it in standard form, turn it into a y equals questions, graph the parabola, and find the x-intercepts. So here we go on this one. I'm going to put it in standard form, so I'm going to subtract 3. Sorry about that. So subtract 3. So y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3 is what I'm going to try to graph. From chapter 8, and this is the chapter that we just got done with, I want to be able to graph this. Again, those of you with a graphing calculator, if you do not have a graphing calculator, you may want to consider getting a graphing calculator app then on your phone, so you could use that. Or you can do programs online such as Desmos, DESMOS.com. That's another version of a graphing calculator you can use online. But I'm going to show how to do it by hand. So I'm going to go negative b over 2a. So negative 2 divided by 2 would be negative 1. That means the vertex is located at negative 1. Then I'm going to plug negative 1 back into the equation, and I'm going to get negative 4. And then I'm going to do an XY chart, negative 1, negative 4 being the vertex. So I want other numbers on either side of the vertex. And I know I'm spacing this out pretty poorly here. So I'm going to plug 1 in for x. If I plug 1 in for x, I get 0. If I plug 0 in for x, I get negative 3, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 3, 0. So again, graphing those, negative 1, negative 4, 0, negative 3, 1, 0, and doing the other side as well, and graphing the parabola. So now, time to answer the question. The two locations where this crosses the x-axis are at the points 1, 0, and at the point negative 3, 0. What that means is the solutions to the graph is also the x-intercept. So we're talking about x equals negative 3 is one answer, and x equals 1 is the other. So recapping this, first I put it in standard form. Then I wrote it as a y equals equation. I then found the vertex, made an XY chart, graphed it, and found the solutions. So here we go on the next one. First, I want to put it in standard form. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides so that it equals 0. And I'm going to go straight to the y equals because ultimately that's the next step. Then I'm going to find the vertex. So negative b over 2a. So x is equal to 4. Plugging 4 back into the equation. I'm going to get 0. Making an XY chart. I'm going to make my XY chart down here a little bit. So XY chart, 4, 0. So plugging in other numbers like 3 and 2 and 5 and 6, I'm going to get 1 and 4. Again, some of you may be using a graphing calculator for this. That could be helpful. So 4, 0, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Graph the parabola. Now, this one only touches the x-axis at the 4, 0. So this particular equation only has one answer. X equals 4. Last one, I would go ahead and make this equal 0 going this way. So x squared plus 2x plus 4. I'm going to add x squared to both sides. Now, some of you could make the argument you're going to subtract 2x and subtract 4. Your graph would be slightly different, but your answers are still going to be the same. So here we go. Negative b over 2a. So I get negative 1. I plug negative 1 in for x, or coming up with my xy chart, I plug negative 1 in. I get 3. Making an xy chart, I'm going to put it down here a little bit. Negative 1, 3. Plug in other numbers. So I get 0, 4, 1, 7. So graphing those points. Negative 1, 1, 2, 3. 0, 4, 7. So now, what happens if it never crosses the x-axis? Well, if it never crosses the x-axis, there are no x-intercepts, and therefore there are no solutions. So in the 3 examples that we did, the first one had 2 solutions, the second one only had 1 solution, and now we have no solutions. So that's what it would look like here. If it crosses the x-axis in 2 locations, it's going to have 2 solutions. If it only touches the x-axis, it's going to have 1 solution, and if it never crosses the x-axis, it would be no solution. So again, as you are looking at the graph, you can determine how many solutions there are. So again, if it crosses it twice, 2 solutions, touches it, 1 solution, and never crosses the x-axis, you're talking about no solution. So your homework assignment tonight is a book assignment, okay? This can be found obviously in your book on page 494, or it can be located in your worksheets. You can find this also on Google Classroom. So again, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email your teacher and we'll get back to you as soon as you can. But here we go. Welcome back, section 9.2. Again, be safe and hope everybody's healthy.